Welcome back to the Daily Dose. I'm your host, Jeff Hansen. We hit our goal. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Didn't think it would happen within the first week of this channel, but it has. Appreciate the support. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. Please like the video. Please share the video. It helps a new platform like ours grow within the confines of the YouTube algorithm. Special shout out to my guy, Isaac Rex. His referral, his endorsement. I don't know if you call it an endorsement. He took a few shots at my ego, a few shots at my looks, and what I choose to do for a living. But the elk helped us get over the 1,000 subscriber threshold. We love you, Isaac. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to all of you once again for joining us. On the Daily Dose, it's brought to you by Brigham.com. On Fridays, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about a story from BYU's past, and then we'll bullet point some of the highlights of what's going on today. And today feels like a good time to level set with so many new faces, new people who are just now hearing about Give'emHellBrigham.com and the Daily Dose for the first time. Why Give 'em Hell Brigham? Why is that our name? That feels kind of un-BYU-ish. Well, if you know the story of Vaughn Kimball, it makes a lot of sense. A lot of BYU fans know Vaughn Kimball. He was set to be the quarterback of BYU back in the 40s, 1942. He played for the Cougars, but he went away to World War II instead of playing college football. In 1942, before BYU played Utah, and at the time, BYU had never beaten Utah, Vaughn Kimball sent a telegram message to the team, and it said, "On Saturday, there is one thing more important than the war, and that is to beat Utah. This accomplishment would aid the morale of 25,000 alumni and aid the war effort. So give 'em hell, Brigham, give 'em hell." After that telegram went out, the Cougars went out and beat the Utes for the first time in school history. Maybe they were inspired by Vaughn Kimball. I don't know. A few years later, America won the war. Hey, who's to say that it wasn't because BYU beat Utah and aided the war effort like Vaughn Kimball said that they would? That story's legendary, but Vaughn himself is even more legendary than that telegram became to be. Vaughn Kimball stayed as a soldier on active duty. He was on the USS Bunker Hill, and he served until 1945. In May, actually May 11th. So next week will be the 78th anniversary of his passing when the USS Bunker Hill was attacked by Japanese kamikazes and Vaughn Kimball died in the battle. A BYU quarterback sends a legendary telegram that inspires a win over the biggest rival that BYU has, and then he goes on and he gives his life serving for his country. Man, I'm proud that that's the namesake of Give'emHellBrigham.com. What a legend Vaughn Kimball is. And all these years later, nearly 80 years later, we're still not talking about him enough. He is enshrined in BYU lore. Some things that are going on today at BYU. The Cougars, they brought Cody Epps back. They added Darius Lassiter from Eastern Michigan. They're not done recruiting transfer portal wide receivers. Javon Antonio is scheduled to visit BYU sometime in the next few days. Chase Sewell, transfer out of Colorado, is set to visit BYU in the next couple of days. There are still a handful of wide receivers that BYU is talking to and potentially scheduling visits with, depending on how these visits go with these other two wide receivers here in the next 3, 4, 5 days. They're not done in the transfer portal at wide receiver either. Harrison Taggart is a big target for BYU. Oregon linebacker, former Corner Canyon star. Look, folks, he's live tweeting his journey back, his drive home from Eugene to his home in Draper. BYU fans are wanting to make that about BYU. I think it's just a kid using Twitter, but he is considering BYU, and the Cougars have made him a very, very, very important priority out of the transfer portal. He's an ideal fit for Jay Hill and Jay Hill's defensive scheme. Earlier this week, I was at the 801 evaluation at West High School. A couple of different schools from the Valley, West, Granger, Alta, and Corner Canyon were there with some of their best players, most college potential. The players who have the most college potential were there putting on a showcase and evaluation in front of 30 to 35 college scouts. One player really stood out. There were a lot of standouts, but one player really stood out to me, Corner Canyon's Cash Dillon. Dude, the guy is unreal. He played every rep. The camp started with 7-on-7 and offensive drills, and Cash Dillon played tight end the entire time. The last hour of the camp was one-on-ones in the trenches with offensive linemen and defensive linemen. And Cash lined up, gassed after 2 hours of 7-on-7, and still made highlight plays against some really good offensive linemen while he was lined up as a defensive end. Utah's hot on Cash Dillon. There's a bunch of Pac-12 schools that are on Cash Dillon, but BYU's made him a priority since Kelly Poppinga arrived on Jay Hill's coaching staff. If they can land Cash Dillon out of Corner Canyon, he's the kind of guy that can change the momentum and the direction of the BYU pass rush. Those are the things that are going on right now. Shout out to Vaughn Kimball for our namesake. And again, thank you to all of you who have subscribed to this channel so far. Please encourage your friends to do so. Share the video and continue to support the Daily Dose and give them hell Brigham.com.